This podcast represents the opinions of the hosts of the Laugh Cry Club and guests on the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. And because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we share is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Welcome back, everybody, to the Laugh Cry Club. I'm Joy.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Chelsea, and if you're an imperfect human who laughs and cries, then this podcast is for you. Welcome.
Happy holidays, everybody. We are showing up. We'll post some videos and some photos, but we are showing up today festive in the red. I've got my Christmas cheer on.
Yeah, we are. Except for the Grinch over there.
I didn't
Rebecca,
get the memo.
I feel like your shirt has trees on it. I think it's triangles, but I'm going to pretend it's trees. So you are festive.
You can.
Okay.
Like
it's like a Southwest.
It's like a
thing.
brown Christmas tree shirt.
Yeah, it is a Christmas tree shirt.
Orange.
Yeah, we're all festive today. So happy holidays, everybody. We are just smack dab again into the middle, almost to the end of December. I'm going to keep saying that until we hit 2026. But if you're new to the show, we are three licensed therapists here to talk about mental health in a way that feels maybe less scary. We're used to talking about mental health day in and day out, but maybe you're not used to that. So hopefully this is a nice intro to incorporating some of the things we've learned over the 20 years of experience that we have. We start every episode with a laugh and a cry, and then we'll talk about a specific topic for each episode. Today, we're talking about family dynamics because it is that time of year where you may not have that like picture perfect postcard family. I don't know who does. So we're going to talk about how to navigate those difficult emotions this time of year. As always, we have the wonderful Chelsea kicking us off. Who's going first?
In honor of Rebecca's orange-brown tree shirt that's not quite festive, that Joy and I are making festive, I would like to nominate our Christmas friend who's been dressed up as Santa so much that I'm actually shocked there's no Santa outfit on right now. Like, shocked. So, Rebecca, what's happening, Rebecca? Tell us everything, Rebecca.
I know. I thought about it, but then I'm like, then it's escaped my mind. Sorry, people, to disappoint.
Yeah, sorry you didn't read our mind. Jeez, why can't you read our mind?
You know what? Go to TikTok and Instagram and you can see me as Santa there. Santa's providing all kinds of tips and tricks for boundaries and anxiety and perfectionism this holiday season.
Wait, you're Santa? Wait, what?
Go. Oh, sorry, kids. Don't listen.
And if you want to know about cognitive distortions of mind reading, that's actually in therapy a distorted thought is to mind read and assume. And Joy and I are doing mind reading with Rebecca. Look at us in our cognitive distortions, Joy.
Look at you all.
So rude.
Yeah. Combo here. So I went to an indoor amusement park with a group of friends, and it's the kind of amusement park where it's got like zip lining inside, like 3 stories of ropes courses, these tunnels under the floor, which I think are probably meant for shorter people than me, and probably little kids is really what they're for. But I went there, and so it was so fun. So I'm like laughing with these group of girlfriends. We're going down these slides, and then I'm also like crying because these ropes courses are very scary, 3 stories up, and very unstable. And I'm 50 years old, and my body is like, what the fuck are you doing to us? The cortisol level was 100%, and I'm like, this is not helping my, workout routine and macros and all that stuff. But my sciatica kicked in. So like midway through, my right hip area was flared up.
No, you injured yourself at an amusement park.
At a ropes course, yes. I did. Well, let me just tell you, I think me and a friend of mine were the oldest people there. Yeah, so lots of fun, laughing, crying because of that. And then this little tender moment, we're like getting our harnesses on for the ropes course, and they make you stand on a number, like in rows. And this little kid is there. He's like 9 years old, and he turns around and he looks at me and he's like, why am I so scared? And it just melted my heart. And it made me think of like, do you know, as a therapist, I think all the therapists can relate to this. People just love to tell you their stories wherever you are. They just open up to you. It's like they know, or I have a sign on my forehead, like I'm open for business. I really appreciate that. And I take that seriously, like people sharing their stories with me. but it's like all the time. And then it was just this little kid, and it just made me feel like this tender moment. He turns around, and he's like, why am I so scared? And I looked at him, and I was like, you know what? I'm scared too. And the reason you're feeling scared is because you're doing something new. And doing new things is very scary. He was so frightened, and he was there with like a parental figure, but he turned to me rather than the man standing next to him.
Just like a stranger, and like kids don't
A
always
rando kid moment.
Yeah, kids don't always want to talk to strangers. Like, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Isn't this just a mirror of how our energy is contagious? When kids pick it up, so the kid's looking at Rebecca, and that feels psychologically safe enough to look and say, hey, random stranger, let me ask you this question. Why am I so scared? I mean, this is it. We think that what you see, and you're putting judgment, and you're doing this and you're doing that, that's adult behavior. Little kids are literally using their intuitions and their instincts, and they're drawn to safety. They are drawn to humans who feel safe. Rebecca, that is the sweetest, cute. Oh my God, I see it in my head right now. Him so and the little outfit, and you in the outfit because you're like all wrapped up, right? So you don't like. So if you fall, you like are hanging on for your life. Yeah, scary as shit. And how wonderful.
I gave him a little pep talk and explained why he's scared. And I'm like, I'm scared too. And I said, look, you've done really scary things before, and you are still here. And then I'm like, you know what? You're going to pivot. Like, this kid knows what pivot means. And then he turns around.
You just gave him a core memory.
Isn't that hilarious?
He's going to remember that.
A core memory. This random stranger.
Totally. Like, I can face my fears. Good job.
Yeah, it was so tender and sweet. It just made me kind of cry and tear up about it. Because I'm like, this poor little kid. So, I'm going to pass this over to our happy cheermeister, the person that has all the beach going love and lots of sharks and friends and sand, and that loves Jeeps, Chelsea.
Beep, beep. Who's got the keys in my Jeep? Okay. Speaking of Jeeps, oh my God, that's a funny intro. Thank you. So my laugh was, y'all know, if you're a listener, I bought a lemon car right around this time last year. And then I had to go through all the stuff with it. And then when my husband died, I had just settled out with consumer affairs and was in no place to get a new car. So I basically used the money from that car, got my daughter a car, and I've been driving her car. So part of my grief process is putting back these pieces of myself. And I was like, you know what? I need to get a car. I can't not have a car. I can't keep driving my kids' cars. So I decided, well, Charlie's driving, my daughter, almost, she's 15, and my son drives. We have an SUV, we have a truck. I'm going to get a sports car. I haven't had a sports car since before kids. I love a sports car. I love driving fast. I love all of this. So I thought. So I go to the car dealership. I go to get this Lexus. The Lexus is, they already sold it. Then I go to get this Genesis. The Genesis smells like cigarette smoke. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going through all these cars. So finally end up driving this Camaro, and I'm like, wow, like this thing is fast as shit. Like I'm hauling ass. I'm like, this is it. You know, the adrenaline's pumping. My body's feeling high. The holidays have been rough. So this is like this little dopamine, adrenaline hit. So I'm like, I'll take this car. They're like, great. So I'm like, I have to pick up my daughter from school. I write him a check for the down payment. Sign some papers, and leave to pick up my daughter. Within 10 minutes, I have instant regret. All of a sudden, when you realize you made a bad decision, and like your body kind of tingles and goes numb. I don't know if you've ever had that before. Okay, my body, I get so physically uncomfortable that there's not even logic. Even talking about it, my heart is going fast right now. My logic can't talk myself out of it. And I was like, I made a huge mistake. So I call the guy, and I'm like, this car is a piece of shit. I can't drive it. There's stuff wrong with it. I'm taking it back. And he's like, we'll take a look. And I'm like, no, I'm not driving this car. I hate it. It's like, he's like, he will. I'm like, pick up my daughter from school. She's like, what the fuck is this car? She didn't say fuck, but she's like, what's happening? I'm like, I bought this car. She's like, this is great. I'm like, she's like, it's so low to the ground. I'm like, yeah, I feel like unsafe. Like, it's so low to the ground. Now I feel like I'm like a 16-year-old boy driving this car. I mean, the adrenaline
Low
was
rider.
very short-lived. So I drive it back to the dealer. Of course, we just celebrated me getting this car. So everybody's like, why is she back?
You were like, want to celebrate again.
Yes. So I'm like, I'm not taking this car. Let's drive every car on this lot. I don't care. I want to get something, but I'm not driving this car. So anyways, I ended up getting a Jeep Wrangler, which is fucking awesome. It's so fun. It's a soft top. It's going to be amazing for summer. But that was my laugh because it was like, oh my gosh, my impulsiveness. And then who likes to buy cars? Me. I like the bartering. I like the going back and forth with the money thing. I mean, I was there until it closed, until the dealer closed. They were thrilled. And by the end, everybody was helping. I had the leasing department. I had the buying department. I had the used car. I mean, everybody was like, we've got to get this chick out of here. And I don't hate it. And I'm not uncomfortable, which is so interesting to me that like I was totally okay returning a car and confident. Like, you're just going to take it back. It's not working.
That is amazing.
But I love that it happened within like hours where you're like, never mind.
I mean, 10 minutes, Joy. It was like 10 minutes. I mean, the dealer is not that far from Charlie's school. And it was like 10 minutes. And by the time I parked, I was like, no. I made a huge mistake. So that was
what? That's a good lesson of you can change your mind. We can change our mind. We don't have to commit to like one thing all the time. We don't have to get it right every single time we make a decision. I think this is a good lesson of like,
that is so true.
Make the decision and then you'll figure it out.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
That's just like a huge part in like especially big purchases where you can make it. I always say this to clients where I'm like, make a decision, then make it right. Meaning like make a decision and then figure it out. Like you're going to get more information once you make a decision. So I like that.
Make a decision, then make it right. Oh, Joy. It's
one of my favorite sayings. I think I got it from some Abraham Hicks, like universal,
Put it
the
on
universe,
a t-shirt.
like affirmation, positive affirmation type of speaker. Very much like a law of attraction speaker that's like, make a decision, make it right. So I did not come up with that, but that has stuck with me. Literally, I probably had that in my head for 15 years because it helps so much when you're trying to make a decision.
I love that.
And you just have that analysis paralysis. Yeah.
Totally. And I think we get stuck with this, right? We're like, I don't want to make the wrong decision. And I'll say to like my kids, there isn't a wrong decision. There's just decisions. And then we pivot when the decision didn't work out. So I try not to like live and die. And that was one of my girlfriends, Pam. When I moved to Alabama, I was like, worst case. And she called me and she's like, there is no worst case. There's just a case and you figure out what you want to do. So anyways, I love that. And then my cry was Steve, my late husband. This was his first birthday, not on Earth. I woke up at 3 a.m. on his birthday and it felt like he had died all over again. The grief was strangling me. And the way I describe it is that you're in like a bunker in war and grenades are going off and you're getting shot at and you're not even thinking, you're not even crying because you cannot breathe. And then as soon as you take a breath, or as soon as I take a breath, it is hysterical, shaking, sobbing, agony, just devastating, absolutely devastating. So I went through and I looked through old pictures and I looked through all of our old stuff, like our life together, and really leaned in with the kids during the day. It was a really hard day. And that night, we'd been wrestling all day for my son. And that night we get in my bed and we have Steve's favorite candy, Mike and Ike's. And I'm like, how did we want to honor your dad? You know, we weren't able to go to dinner because that wrestling was like 12 hours. It was all day. I was like, so how do we want to honor it? And then Charlie, my daughter, says, let's say out loud 5 things that we're proud of. We'll each say one thing and we'll say it out loud so Daddy can hear us. And it was beautiful and horrible. And every time I went, I had to have her hand me the mic and Ike's, and I was like, let me eat my feelings, and then I'll say mine. And we just ate our feelings of this candy, and sure, we're so sick at the end.
So cute.
And then we shared out loud what we were proud about with one another, what we were proud about, like what has gone on. I mean, it's almost been 6 months, which feels too far and too close, actually too far. So it was really a hard cry day. And if you're going through grief, the holidays are just brutal, beautiful and brutal. So I'd encourage you to make new memories. Do what you can to honor those who you love and who are no longer physically here.
That's such a good idea that Charlie had.
Oh my God, it was so
How sweet is that?
So sweet. Yeah, it was wonderful. So big laughs, Camaro, big cries, missing you, my love. And I'm handing it over to Joy with the cutest cheer sweater. Oh
The
my
cheermeister.
God.
I get so many compliments on this sweater.
Yeah, I remember it last year, right? You've had this. God, it's good. It's
I've
a
had
good
this.
sweater.
I got it last year. It's just like a Christmas sweater for people listening, and I'll post a video on our TikTok and our socials. But it's like a typical Christmas sweater, and it just says cheer all over it, and it's really fun and festive, and it's most importantly, very comfortable. Okay, really 2 quick laugh cries. So laugh cry combos this week. One is I'm sitting in the dentist chair yesterday, getting a crown replaced.
Yeah, you are. You're actually getting your real crown.
I'm getting a real crown. Wouldn't that be nice if they actually put a crown on you while you're getting a crown?
You
really
what?
should.
I'm going to open a dentist office and do that.
So great. And, I've had dental work plenty over the years, plenty, but I just never, who loves it, right? But the great thing about this dentist is they have televisions above the chair that I know a lot of dentists do this these days, but the ones that I kind of grew up with or had over the past 15 whatever years didn't have this. So this is new to me. This is a newer dentist. And so I'm looking up at the screen and they're like, do you want to watch a TV? Yes, I do, please. I would like to watch a movie. So they hand me the remote. I turn on, I'm trying to how you can get in the Netflix loop where you just all of a sudden start looking at all the options for way too long. So talk about make a decision, make it right. I was like, I'm just going to go with the first thing that looks fun to me. It was Goonies. So I picked Goonies, and the dental hygienist looks at me and goes, oh my gosh, this is my mom's favorite movie. And I was like, I felt, because it's my favorite movie. And I grew up in the generation of Goonies. I am the age of Corey Feldman and, all the stars of. So that was my laugh cry, because I was crying because at the dentist. It actually went fine. I survived, of course, but I had a good laugh because I was I didn't say anything. I'm trying to be very good about not mentioning my age because I don't want to do this I'm getting old thing, because that's just silly to me. I'm trying to get away from that. But I was just oh, really? It's your mom's favorite movie.
I love that this happened at the dentist office, Joy, because apparently we have a great time at the dentist.
We do. I thought of you because you are.
Because it's so crazy.
Yeah. And then my other laugh cry was watching the Taylor Swift Docuseries this week, which was, I thought it was going to be very much really just about her and her stardom. It really was just about the fan experience and how, the community and the connection. And I cried and I laughed, and my husband and I watched it together. And my husband and I, we're guilty of watching things and then glancing at our phone a lot and not giving our full attention. We both were locked in for the full hour and a half without any distractions. It was that captivating to us, which was really fun. But there's a really sweet moment that no spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, but if you plan on not watching it, I guess it doesn't matter. But there's just a really sweet dancer that has a wonderful relationship with his mom. And there's nothing more adorable to me than watching a mom get so excited for their kid. And the joy she has when he's on stage. They have a shot of her dancing around, watching him dance on stage, was pure. I was this is what life is about, is watching someone so enamored and proud of their child. It was, I rewound it multiple times and wanted to cry. It was great. So those are my 2 laugh cries. I'm feeling really good this week.
I love that. We want to keep you feeling good at the Laugh Cry Club. And today we're talking about jumping in the shit in the family dynamics during the holidays. Now, here's some fun facts. 75% of humans, when they do kind of research, show that they don't want to do some of these holiday expectations.
75%? 75%?
75%.
Wow.
Say that people feel like they feel obligated to do something they don't want to attend over the holiday. And the biggest stress comes from family gathering obligations. Ew. I want that to be the less stress, but that's the bigger one. And then we can kind of look at the why. So I'm going to kick us off with what happens. So this is the neurobiology from family systems. Is in family systems, we all had roles when we were kids. There was the scapegoat, there was the invisible child, there was the golden child, there was the one who was like, don't rock the boat. There was the one who was the peacemaker or the responsible one. So we all have these different roles that we had growing up. And you could be this like competent, high functioning adult who's done all of this self-work. And then all of a sudden you go to a family event and you're that little kid again, going right back into that familiar pattern, going right back into that old role because your body is responding to the familiarity. So logically we can know, but our body responds to the familiarity and we are instantly taken back in time. And we all of a sudden are in the shit of this dynamic that we don't want to be in. So I want to normalize that and kick it out to the group. What do you all think about this? Have you ever been in the shit? What do you do when you're in the shit?
No, my life is picture perfect, family postcard style. But I also want to kind of piggyback on what you said. And what came to mind was how society and how media portrays family Christmas time. We see it in the movies, and it's funny because I don't think we stop to really think about like how much that has affected us. When I was a kid, I loved watching Home Alone, and I was like, wow, this really fun, huge family gets to go to Paris or wherever the hell they were going. Like they get to go somewhere together as a family. It was this very picturesque, affluent type of situation that impacted me as a kid, where then you start to feel lack and then you start to feel bad if you don't have that picture perfect. So if you don't have a perfect relationship with your family, if you don't have a connection with your parents, your biological parents, your adopted parents, if you don't have relationships with siblings, or maybe you're an only child, like all of these things come into play where you're like, oh, I'm supposed to have this like family dynamic that's all warm and fuzzy, and we're kind of setting ourselves up for failure. So I just wanted to like recognize that too, of watching all these like beautiful memories and moments and the lighting of the Rockefeller Christmas tree, which by the way, it's like beautiful, but also maybe we're really sad this time of year.
So we're already starting off with getting reinforced media unrealistic expectations, because what is the common thread? There's a happy ending in all of those. The families come back and accept Kevin at Home Alone. The dysfunctional in-laws. Oh my God, Joy, thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah, that's really true, because if you look at every single Christmas movie, they fall apart and then they come back together and everything's really joyous. Every single one of them.
Well, there's that formula again. The formula is like, you have to have a resolution, you know?
Yeah. Because we like resolutions as people, right? That's why they do it. But I think that's what disappoints us most of the time, because sometimes there's not the resolution that we expect or want. It sets us up to feel terrible then, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, so what you're saying is that the holidays kind of bring on this pressure of like all our psychological points at once.
Yeah.
So it could be maybe you don't have a lot of money to buy gifts, and there's a huge Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Mm-hmm. There's that push for spending money and buying gifts and being, very gratuitous. And so that's something there's pressure right there, is budget. We live in an economy right now that's not great. And people can barely afford groceries. I mean, I'm seeing people who volunteer, and I know my dad volunteers at a food bank every Friday, and he was telling me, hey, last Friday, we normally hand out 50 to 80 bags of food, and that, last week it was 150. And so like that is very real. So pressure on money, pressure on family dynamics, and activating old attachment wounds. So this is something to recognize and call out for everybody. It's like you're not doing it wrong if you're not in like this joyous festive cheer attitude.
Josie, I'm curious, did you say 70% or 75% of people?
75% of people report that holiday gatherings and events feel like an obligation they actually don't want to go to. And the primary source of this is family gatherings.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, why is the 75% continuing to do this? It's like, my thought is that it's like this kind of like these traditions, because I feel like holidays have a lot of family traditions that involve family. And is that, I'm just curious what you all think. Why do people continue to do things they don't want to do?
I mean, I would say kids, number one.
Okay.
You know, if you have a family, and let's say, you know, you have two partners and you have kids. There is an obligation that your kids see both sides of the family, see their cousins, see their family. Kids, this is my opinion, as a parent, it's not our job to get our kids involved in the family dynamics. So if the kids see Aunt so-and-so as amazing, well, great. Then they get to see that. Or they love this person. And I might be like, this person's dysfunctional and hard for me to be around. But you don't talk about that with a 5-year-old, you know? So I think especially parents, there's so much pressure to take care of your kids, take care of your partner, spouse's family, your family, make sure that the kids are getting all of this stuff. Or if you've come from a lot of dysfunction, you're trying to overcorrect for your kids so your kids don't have the shitty Christmas you had. So there's a lot of emotions, I think, that are tied in as a parent if you have kids. That's a huge one. For the rest of people who are maybe don't, I don't know.
well, I mean, I'll just add for people who don't have kids. So the flip side of that is the guilt that you don't have the typical family, quote unquote, of what it looked like when you were young. So, for example, the first Christmas that I spent alone with just my husband, I don't want to say just, he's amazing, but it was like just the two of us. It was really hard because I was so used to all the family, like either we were at his parents or we were at my parents. And one year, whatever the reason, this is probably like 10 years ago, we spent our first Christmas alone. And at first I was like, oh, no travel. Oh, no, you know, none of the having the pressure of meal prepping. And we were sitting around and I was like, this is depressing. And it was just because the template I had grown up with was you have all this family, you know, so like, it's interesting that the system trained us before we had adult tools to deal with it. So we were trained as kids of like, this is what it looks like. This is what the holidays are supposed to look like before we even had the capacity to really understand and digest it. So then all of a sudden we kind of, it's almost like, you know, I talk a lot about this in therapy with clients where it's like, you have to kind of, this is a great example of where you challenge your belief system. You know, someone will say, well, I always did it this way. And so I kind of have to keep doing it this way. And it's like, well, why? And then if you ask your question, why, is like, oh, because that's how it's always been done. Well, oh, okay, I guess I don't have to do it this way. I don't have to look like the traditional family system. So, you know, recognizing the inner child or the younger you of like, hey, you were kind of set up for this dynamic before you really had the tools to really understand what is it that you want? Self-respect, regulation, like what is it that you want now?
And what ties into your values now? I think that's where we as an adult get to look. If, for example, I know with Steve, my late husband, it was really important to him that our kids had Christmas at home. He did not want our kids traveling on Christmas Day. He was like, I want them to wake up and I want us to just be able to be in our PJs and like have slow and not travel, not get up and go somewhere on Christmas Day. That was his value. I don't know if he would have said that. I don't know if I would have just gone into default and been like, well, in my family, we always went to my grandma's house. So I need to go get up and put the kids in the car and drive out to wherever. So sometimes it's so automatic that we forget that we get to say, what do I want this to look like for me.
I have a counter question for that, because as you were saying that, I was like, but listeners are going to say, but I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, but I can't. I don't want to hurt feelings. What do you do?
Yeah, I think this goes into any boundary. A boundary is not about other people. It's about yourself. And so you just say, for my family, this is how I'm going to be doing it. This is what I want to do. And how do we figure out a different way to get together at another time? So I think you just take ownership and you share your truth. This is how I'm doing it this year. I'm changing. You really own it. Like, I'm not the excuse, my kids are tired and I don't want to do this, and this. This is how we're doing it now. And I'm doing this year. Normally we do some friend stuff on Christmas at one of my girlfriend's house. Miles and Charlie want to be home. That's my kids. They want to be home this year. This is their first year without their dad. And so my message to the group was, I love everybody. Everybody's welcome here. This is how we're doing it this year. Because my God, if I'm not looking out for me and for my kids, then who else is? So you have to honor your truth. And if somebody's getting their feelings hurt, that is about them. I'm going to say that is about them. If you give clear as kind, that's Brene Brown. If you're giving your boundary, you're saying, this is what is in my highest, greatest good for me, for my children, for my mental health, for whatever, my values. If somebody's taking that personally, that's not about you.
Yeah. I have a client right now, I'll keep anonymous, of course, but we have discussions a lot around a little bit of a both and. So here's an interesting situation where they choose to go to the family gatherings every year, but they really don't love it. But it's more like they're weighing in their mind of like, I actually really, the desire to go is bigger because I just feel this pull to be around family, even though we have really messed up dynamics. And so what we work on is how to protect their emotions and how to best protect and best set up the boundaries, even though they're in the midst of the crap. So there are middle grounds here. It doesn't have to be like, because I understand it's complicated and not everyone can be like, I really don't want to go. And then they're just like putting their foot down and be like, nope, I'm not going to go. I think there's a whole spectrum of how you can handle this. And I realize, we all realize how complicated it is because there are people who are like, oh, I feel so guilty and I really do want to go and I don't want to hurt, we're working on like, okay, so maybe you don't stay at their house, you can stay at a different place and don't feel guilty about that piece, so these are the things that you can kind of like create healthy distance within the system that you have to like go be around.
I want to take that, Joy, and kind of jump a little further and see what you all think about this, because this is like from a family systems perspective, which is like Chelsea was saying, we all play roles in a family system. And I want to describe it as like, those mobiles that are like above baby cribs, you touch one side and it's all wonky. Like you try to raise your baby up and it's like a catastrophe. That is like what your family is like. If you touch one side, the whole thing feels it.
Oh, great visual, Rebecca.
And so I love boundaries and I think we all should set them. But for people that are going to go into these family environments and set a boundary, what they do is they disrupt the system. So the boundary setter then affects these other people and they all feel it. And then you can start getting behaviors from them, right? Like where they try to guilt you further or they make some comment, whatever it is. They give you the cold shoulder. So what do we do in cases like this when we need to set healthy boundaries with these people, but it also ends up affecting the system and then other people start acting out?
Oh, Rebecca, this reminds me, I had a Christmas away from family during Steve's cancer, and it was with a family member, I'll say. And it was hands down the worst holiday of my entire life. There was so much tension. There was so many fucked up family dynamics. It was brutal. And then on top of it, Steve had a massive infection. It was the worst holiday. I've never felt more uncomfortable in somebody else's house in my entire life. And my husband almost died from the infection during that time. And here's what I did. the first morning when I was like, oh my God, get me the fuck out of here. This is horrible. I took my kids and we drove to Target, and I'm like, let's get the things that are familiar to us. So crafts, we love Christmas crafts. We love making gingerbread houses. I love having like hot chocolate. Miles, my son, loves eggnog. So I'm like, let's get all of the things we would do at home. Mm-hmm. And I started those tradition. Well, I don't know what happened now, but with the family who I was with, I started just like, this is what we do in our family. This is how we're doing this. We all in the guest bedroom, which was tiny, by the way, we all crawled into bed together and we watched our Christmas movies together. So we kind of separated a little bit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't comfortable, but it was authentic to honoring what I did have in my locus of control behaviorally. What can I do that feels a little bit, I can still get us all dressed up pajamas where we all have the same pajamas. I can still, share our gratitude on Christmas when we reflect on the year. I can still do these other things. So I kept those things. And then here's what I also did. And if you're a listener, I highly recommend this. I took walks. It was freezing. It was in New York. It was snowing. It was brutal. I froze my ass off and I took walks so I could get fresh air and get out of the house. I had a little yoga mat with me so I could just stretch. So I did the things that I needed to do to keep sort of taking care of myself. And it was brutal. It was brutal.
Yeah. Nervous system regulation.
Yeah, no, you're right. So essentially, in those cases where other people start acting out because you're setting a boundary, your recommendation is to go to something familiar for yourself.
Yeah. So mine was
not
my monkey, not my circus. I'm not going to argue with unreasonable. Arguing's bullshit if there's going to be no resolution. If you just want to hear your own voice and your opinion, that's right. I'm not involving myself in that. So that's where it becomes, you can jump into that pattern, or you can go to your highest sense of self and say, nothing's going to change. I'm not going to hit that mobile thing and shout out my boundaries out loud. I'm going to internally protect myself. I know what my boundaries are. I don't need to make a PSA announcement. Because it's not worth it to shake everything up, because these people aren't going to change anyways. This family member is not going to change. This dynamic's not going to change. This is not my work to change it. My work is my work, mine. This is for me to do. My work doesn't change based upon what other people say and do. But are we vulnerable and sensitive? And have I found my own self, especially in earlier years, all of a sudden getting in and talking some shit, being passive aggressive, making some jabs, hurting some feelings? Yes. Yes, I have. Shutting down. I mean, I've gone into all the roles at some point for many years.
I mean, join the club. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. It's really one of the biggest pressure cooker situations that you can be in if you have a lot of history and trauma with your family. And I think that a lot of people can relate to that. So I want to summarize some of the things that you've said here as some tips that we can take away from for listeners. Is what you were talking about, Chelsea, is regulating your nervous system. So finding ways to really set yourself up for like, all right, this could be a stressful situation that I'm going into, but what are the things that I'm going to do to take care of myself? Now, if you're like going to stay with a family, that could be taking the breaks, that could be finding things that are familiar to you. Whatever works for you is to have a plan. Go in with like, okay, I need to make sure that I am checking in with myself to regulate my nervous system. You also mentioned about like kind of picking your battles and like not taking the bait if someone is coming in. And I guess a lot of things could be provoking. Everything could kind of be nails on a chalkboard to you. Making a deal with yourself before you go into it, be like, okay, I'm not going to take the bait. I'm going to just sit back. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to take a pause. Could be another tool. And I like the idea of, I know we're kind of like in the midst of when this releases, it'll be the week of Christmas. But, maybe for the rest of the year, if there's a lot of still holiday stuff going on and New Year's Eve coming up, it's like set an intention or set a goal for the next couple weeks. Meaning like maybe you pick a word, peace, and you anchor yourself to that word. And that is your North Star for the next 2 weeks, or maybe it's the next day if it's like really big stuff. that you're like, I'm just going to anchor to that, which then can kind of lead into your nervous system. What did I miss? What else do you think?
I think that's a great summary. I do want to say to the 75% of people, if you're listening to this, you do not have to do things you do not want to. You can give yourself permission to say no because you're an adult now. You are no longer a child having to do what other people want you to do. Like, you get to set the rules for yourself.
And Rebecca, I'm going to add to that. Every time we honor our truth, it is an act of self-love. So if you have this dysfunctional dynamic, you have this thing that is, I'm thinking about like toxic situations. I'm talking about that inappropriate guilt where you're like, honor my own tradition. Oh, wait, start all over?
Yeah.
Every time we honor ourselves, that is an act of self-love. And self-love is the most beautiful gift you can give yourself. It's the most beautiful gift you can give your loved ones because our capacity to love another is directly correlated to our capacity to love ourselves. So if you are having boundaries, that's an act of self-love. If you're continuing traditions and rituals that bring you joy, that's an act of self-love. If you're limiting your time, you're saying, hey, I'm going to pop in for an hour and then I'm popping out, act of self-love. So we can do all of these things by honoring, but we've got to have the insight to see, where am I vulnerable? What messages am I telling myself? Is this actually true? And to Rebecca's point, I'm an adult and I can choose acts of self-love over acts of self-abandonment. And here's what I want to end with. If you get into throwing the shit in your family dynamic and you're rocking that mobile above the baby crib and all of that, this doesn't mean you're going backwards. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means that there are some wounds and some unresolved things that could use your compassion and attention. So if that comes up, I don't want you to go into, what the fuck's wrong with me? I listened to Laugh Cry Club. I should have known. I knew. I prepared. I planned. I prepared. I did all this. Okay, that's amazing. And this is really deep work. Family systems work is very deep work. Those roles are old. They're embedded. So look, 75% of people feel like holiday events are an obligation. We're all doing our best, okay?
Yeah, you're not alone.
So be nice. Be nice to yourself.
Clearly,
okay?
you're not alone.
Buck up, be nice.
Be nice, not naughty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clearly you're not alone if it's 75%. So that is it for this week. We hope that this has been helpful. If you found it helpful, please leave us a rating and review. 5 stars would be great. Share us with a friend. You can reach us on all the social media platforms at Laugh Cry Club. Email us laughcryclub@gmail.com for any questions or topics that you want to hear on the show. Next week, we'll do our final reflection of 2025 and honoring the great big year that we all had and bring some surprise topics to the finishing of this another year. It feels very weird for me to say that because I'm like, wow, another year has gone by. And then we're going into 2026. So we're so grateful that you have spent this year with us, sending you all the love during this time, during the holidays. And we'll see you next week. We love you guys so much.
Bye.
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 That's life, baby.